You're listening to the ADHD Heroes Podcast, a podcast where we speak with the heroes of the ADHD community, namely educators, mental health professionals, and of course, those with ADHD themselves, to gain insights, tools, and most importantly, inspiration towards succeeding and thriving with ADHD. I'm your host, Rabbi Shmuel Reich, a high school Rebbe and an ADHD coach in private practice. Welcome to the show. Hi there. On this week's episode, I have part 2 of my conversation with the anonymous David from episode 14. In this part, we discuss David's help of others with ADHD, including his clients in the world of business, as well as members of his community. We discussed making sure to avoid pitfalls such as impulse investments or accidentally being lured into scams, the gifts those with ADHD have that can often make them better suited for helping others in their communities, marriages in which both spouses have ADHD, learning to grow and change at an older age, and a lot more. Enjoy! Yes, now hopping over to how you've helped others, how did your own experience with your own ADD, how did that help you with your clients?
Tremendous help. Many of my clients over all the years who have ADD, many were train wrecks. Many still are train wrecks.
Right.
But I was able to, Baruch Hashem, help many clients avoid becoming train wrecks because I understood what was going on in their companies.
Right.
And I was able to steer them and help them and give them guidance without being condescending.
Right.
But like here are the factors involved. This is where you're headed. You really want to. The way to accomplish and achieve what you want to get is by A, B, C, and D. And they've imparted their trust on me by calling me now with every step. They won't make a move without calling me any major moves, and ask me, what do you think? And I'm not a genius, but the experiences of life are able to provide you with the insight to understand and see things much differently.
What were some of the specific kind of challenges that came up for them, and how were you able to help them? Were you able to?
Everybody sees the gold at the end of the rainbow. It's like every single thing is gold.
Right.
We're going to make $1 million on this one also. And how many people have lost millions and millions because they didn't see what it took to get from the beginning of the rainbow to the end of the rainbow? There were so many steps along the way that they hadn't considered. ADD people don't have the ability to focus in on that stuff that goes in the middle in their early years because they haven't been through the trainings yet, either the painful ones where they lost a lot of money or hurt people along the way, or chas v'shalom, there are people sitting in Otisville. A lot of that has to do with it. I have a client that invested in a company, just an investment. The people at the company committed fraud, and this person, my client, was indicted because of it. He had nothing to do with it. He just made an investment. So, it's you have to be able to look at everything that you're going into very carefully, and taking in other people's input and advice is important. I highly recommend that you create that safety net of people surrounding you to look at whatever you're thinking of investing in or doing. Let someone else with another pair of eyes look at it, so this way you don't make that mistake.
I should say one common thing is making investments without doing proper due diligence, because that's not the fun part for the ADHD brain. The fun part is making the investment that's going to make a lot of money.
Right.
So somebody's sitting there and poring over all the boring stuff. They need someone to do that.
Yes, absolutely. You must have someone else doing that for you. You can't do it yourself.
Was that the biggest pitfall you've seen?
Yeah, for sure.
Were there other big ones, other common ones, or not that you encounter?
In the real estate world, I mean, there's been a number of podcasts on this already. A lot of people have explained the catastrophes of people losing tons of money by great ADD salesmen. I don't hate to say it, but a lot of the money, a lot of people who are fundraising and bringing in money are the ADD guys. They're selling the 15-20% returns, and you'll get your money back. When we refinance in 3 years, they don't really understand what they're selling. and the other people are just trusting them because hey, they're successful, they've done it themselves, and that's a big problem.
Interesting. So you're saying the flip side. I mean, it's the same shortcoming of not doing all their homework, but in this case, they're selling it, and they don't even
And they're
necessarily realize what they're selling.
and they're killing people. The mom is destroying some people.
Right. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very scary thing.
right. So where you stepped in was you showed people where they were overlooking
My
more steps.
clients are
Sorry.
business operators and business owners who have been doing well, ups and downs. They've hit many challenges along the way, and my role has been is to help them try to avoid those obstacles and bumps, having the foresight and experiences to be able to guide them and skip those difficult periods that they're going to go that they could have encountered. I'll tell you the biggest one:
Right.
people take out too much money from their companies. They don't leave enough working capital.
Oh wow. Okay, so that's another one where they're not seeing this isn't overlooking details. It's not seeing the future.
Right,
Right.
right.
So how
They
do you
just
walk them
like
through that?
it's tough. It's really tough. A lot of guys just like I gotta pay the bills. What am I supposed to do? I go, yeah, but your company's going to suffer later if you pull out another $100,000 from your business. You got to tighten your belt at home. Figure something else out. Don't strip and handicap your company from its precious working capital. And I teach them how to read the financial statements because if they don't understand how to read financials, then they can't understand how that component fits in, and then they end up getting into trouble. So that's another very big thing I spend time on. I try to teach them to understand, and they should be running their books every month, going through it with their accountant or their controller, understanding the implications of what's going on. And I have clients that come crying to me; they don't have enough money. I go, sure you do. You have a lot of receivables that are over 90 days. Just go collect them. I don't have time for that. I go, yeah, but that's where your money is.
Right.
Go collect those receivables. Or here's another one. You have $3 million of inventory, and you're only doing $2 million a year in sales. So what's wrong with this picture? It means you have a lot of inventory that's old or not sellable, or you're just not actively trying to sell it. Sell half of it for 50 cents on the dollar, to create more capital to be able to buy more merchandise that makes more sense.
Oh, interesting. So you're saying, like in a situation like that, the ADHD brain doesn't want to sell at what it's viewing as a loss. So you
It's
got to
it's
like call.
it's
Right.
great merchandise. In 2 years from now, I'm gonna be able to sell it for double of what I bought it for. I go, yeah, but in the meantime, you can't put food on your table. It's taking up warehouse space. That's precious real estate. It's using your working capital. You're tying up your money, and it looks terrible. A person shouldn't have 150% of his annual sales in inventory sitting there. You should have 2 months, 3 months of inventory. You don't need more than that. Inventory has to turn. Has to turn.
Right. Wow. That's a lot. That's going to be a tough thing to swallow if it doesn't come to you naturally.
Right.
But it
It
sounds
wasn't
like you're doing a
something
big
like
service
this.
that way.
It
Yeah.
takes time for people to learn and understand. And if you're willing to take the time to learn and be open to that, then the sky's the limit. So many guys are so creative. They come up with chachma. I don't even know how they do it. Hashem gave them such tremendous minds,
Right.
but
Wow.
they have to surround themselves with the right people.
Right. You're saying also for certain things that are not natural to them, they would need to sort of learn to not trust their instincts, which becomes extra difficult when their instincts are so good in the areas of their talent.
Exactly. Exactly.
So that's where
That's a
people
great
like you come
point.
to save the day.
Right. Right. That's what we offer that support and that help. Absolutely.
Right. Anything else about banking and clients you want to bring up before we swing over to the community side of things?
Um, no, I think that's good for this at this point.
Okay, great. So we originally met through Rabbi Ari Center. I told him I was studying ADHD, and
Oh,
remember that?
right, right.
And
Yeah.
I said I needed to get a pro bono client for my coursework. Do you know
Right.
anybody? And he
Sure.
told me to call you.
Well, David.
Yes. So what has your involvement in the community been? How is he? Um, I guess
Well,
why
he's
was
a
that his
he's a
nature?
big he's
Yeah.
a big doer. He's a creative person, and he gets a lot of stuff done. Um, So that's yeah. So we partnered up on a bunch of projects in the community together, and Baruch Hashem, it's a pleasure to work with him on them.
So where did
So
where did ADD ADHD, where did that come up as like as an area of
so
expertise?
there were many times when there were balabatim that were struggling financially. So he would call me up, can you help out this family, coach them through? So I was a Masila coach, unofficial Masila
Oh wow,
coach.
okay,
So and we worked with middle class families making 100, 200, 300 that couldn't cover their bills. Um, and what we would do is we would help them create a budget, figure out what's working, what's not working. Numbers don't lie. I always tell people when you put it down on paper, then you know what's going on.
yes,
And once we got the budget down to a real number of what they had to make, so now we have to come up with, okay, now how do you create more income? You can't
right,
keep cutting expenses. You have to create more income.
right,
So he would call me up to say, like, can you first help these people do triage,
right,
stabilize the patient, figure out what's going on, and then let's try to get them out of it. And some of these projects went on for 5 to 10 years. It's not an easy fix.
right.
So what you do then is you find people from whatever community they're in, whatever show they're in. And I've dealt with people in Baltimore, Chicago, Brooklyn. I don't do this professionally. This is just like as things come
Right,
up
religious
occasionally.
community work. Right.
So and then you have to find people that will help supplement until they're able to get themselves balanced. And
You
that could
supplement
be
like help them
through
financially.
help them financially,
Right,
yeah.
right,
Cover tuitions, help them with tuitions. If they're making a wedding and they just push it, don't have the money for it. And
right,
and again, these people aren't at this point they're not squandering and just throwing out money. They're really stuck.
right,
So what do you do? So I'm a socialist when it comes to stuff like this. That the people that have the millions, that you should be opening your eyes and looking at who needs within your own community. I have a friend. He walks into the yeshiva on a regular basis, a particular yeshiva. I won't say which one, and he writes out checks to cover tuition bills for a lot of his neighbors.
that's
They
incredible.
don't they don't even know it. They don't know, and he they just get a note. There's been a scholarship grant for you. You just saved $2,000, $3,000. Like I would love to do that. I don't have the yichus for that, but if I can do that, I'm jealous. I'm a kind of people that, and there's a there's a Rabbi Rubin from Queens. He once told me. He said, told someone else who told me. He said, why is it that people that some people do like 90% of the work, and they're only 10% of the people. So like in a shul, you have 10% of the people that do 90% of the work. Why is it? What's going on? So when you and I pass a garbage can that's overflowing, we empty it, right? So you in shul, you see a garbage can, it's full, empty it, put it in a new bag. We have the zechus, he said, Reuben says, you have the zechus to see that it's overflowing. Other people don't have the zechus to see that. And it's don't take it for granted. So that's why it's the 90-10 rule, because only 10% of the people have that zechus to see and help and be and hold the whole kehillah up. So you have to daven for that zechus. So I wish, and it's unfortunate, but I wish that so many people I know that have the yicholos to be able to write those checks to help their neighbors out would just see it and do it, but they don't. They don't. All they're thinking of is like, do I have enough to be able to retire when I'm ready to retire? I go, yo, man, you've got 20 M's in the bank between all your stuff. You're bringing in 2.5, 3 M's a year, and you're telling me, do you have enough? Your neighbor can't put food on their table every Shabbos. It's like they're struggling to do that, and you don't even realize it, And that, don't get me started.
You're saying seeing communal needs is also a gift. That's what you're saying.
It's a
Right,
gift. It's a
right,
gift, and the ADD people have the ability to see things from a different perspective that other people do and get it done.
right.
It's a
I think
true gift. It really is.
the creativity and also the empathy.
Hmm. But it doesn't come naturally. Most of the ADD people have it, but you have to be able to
Cultivated.
get cultivated and condition yourself, and even find a mentor. I found a business mentor at one point. I was paying a guy in Manhattan. He's great, Harold Meyer. from the
Yes, sure.
ADHD Resource Center in
You put me in
Manhattan.
touch with him.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's great, and I spent a year with him. He was a coach, business coach for me,
Right.
and he taught me a lot of the things to look for and how to deal with them. And till today, I have a Tov for what he did.
Right. Well, did at which point did you realize that the people you were helping that some of the challenge was related to ADHD?
When I became more understanding of it, I would say probably about 20 years ago.
Right.
I became much more fluent in the topic, and then as the years went on, even more so. That when I have a conversation with somebody, I can diagnose right away. I can pretty much tell where the. Now, there's so many different modalities though to it that you have to be careful. Um, and then I don't just diagnose you like, "Hi, I'm diagnosing you while we're talking." Do
Right.
something like that. but but you can see that there's something missing, that there's something that's off. If someone's on the spectrum, which and then you can be empathetic and you can help steer and guide and answer questions accordingly, knowing that they're on the spectrum. So if anybody who has it and understands what they have becomes more educated about their own condition, they can help others so much more when they're interacting and doing chesed.
So would you say that helped you? When you were
For
when you're
sure,
helping people? Right.
for sure. But you have to know when to put the brakes on also. Sometimes you have to stop doing chesed.
In what way? There are a few ways I can see you going with this. Which one do you mean?
So let's say there's the Hatzalah guys, right? So there's sometimes they just have to turn their radios off. Their families need them at home.
Right.
And that's a very hard thing for them to do. Now their spouses know it, all the children know it, everyone understands. Yeah, my daddy has ADHD.
Right.
So he's part of it. Not every Hatzalah guy has it, don't get me wrong. But or firemen or whatever it is, volunteer guys.
But
I
it's
think
definitely a team. Yeah.
Yeah, Chaverim is the greatest invention, by the way. I think it's awesome. It gives people an outlet to be productive with chesed and with their creativity. But at the same time, you have to be able to put on the brakes and say, sometimes I'm shutting my phone and I'm going to designate and be 100% mindful to my family now, or whatever it is that you're working on that needs your full attention. And you have to have that gvura, which takes time to
Right. Time to
create,
learn. Time to
to
develop.
learn. Right, right.
Right. What were other ADHD related challenges you saw in the community and you were helping people with?
Financial, communication, educating their own children. If a child is diagnosed with it, that means one of the parents has it.
Yeah. Good. Really very high statistical likelihood.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
it's there. So and if it's in the family, it's very likely that it's in multiple cousins and tentacles. It's all over the place. So
Absolutely.
and it's quite interesting when you go to cousin get-togethers or family get-togethers. And
They're the ones that make it fun. Yeah.
if you're aware of it, you get to
Right.
see what you understand and where each person headed off and how they're. So if a child has it, that means a parent has it. At what age does the parent learn about their child's condition? Um, is very determinant on whether the parent themselves can now start making changes or not. I've had people that were in their 50s that said, "I'm too old to make changes." I go, "Man, you got another 25, 30 years. You want to continue this? Do you really want to continue being miserable and upsetting people and your wife yelling at you?" And it's like, come on, you could do it. Make some changes.
So it's for themselves, for their kids, or both.
Well, first they have to start for themselves.
Right.
You can't change your kids. You can't change anyone else. You can only change yourself.
Right.
You can create environments for your children to be successful, and you can help them understand what's going on, and you can help them understand with your change, you with this behavior, with these activities, you can change and become better at A, B, C, D, F, G. But if a child sees his parent doing it, and Rabbi Wallerstein always says their spiritual DNA. He wrote a whole thing on that. If you're changing yourself spiritually, if your DNA is changing, if your habits are changing, I'm telling you that your children's will also change.
Oh, that's interesting. Have you seen that? Have you seen people?
I've seen it. I've seen it. Case study over and over again. Parents who change themselves, their children will change.
Is that even if the parents aren't working on the same issue as the kid per se?
Yep. God blesses you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blesses the parents that they see their children. They get nachas from their children because they themselves are working hard on the change.
It creates an atmosphere of growth. Is that what you mean?
It creates an environment within the home that there's a growth. B, the functionality of the home by default is going to change, because if you're changing and growing, then everything around you is going to have it's going to be a domino effect.
Right. It's more
And
stable, more understanding.
communication levels are going to be much better. If you're not a good communicator and your child's not a good communicator because of ADD, you can't teach your child how to communicate better if you don't know how to communicate.
What are some what are some tools of communication that you've taught people or that you've taught people?
So one is reflecting back.
Riley mentioned, right?
That we discussed before. That's very
Right.
important. Taking notes. There's three. There you need to use two sensories in order to really absorb something. So it's verbal, visual, hearing, writing. So I always recommend that take a notebook with you to every meeting, whatever it is that you're going to, whether it's business, whether it's a class, whether it's a conversation with someone, and jot down notes of what was just discussed. Don't rely on your memory, and then repeat back again afterwards, or just reflect on it for your own sake to have it. That goes back to the memorializing business meetings by email all the time. So yeah, I recommend little notebooks, journals, carry them around,
Do you
just to have.
recommend those over using your phone?
You can't sit and take notes on a phone.
Oh, got it.
It
Okay.
just doesn't work.
Right.
So if you get a wireless keyboard, one of those small ones, which I happen to have,
Right.
and you take notes on the keyboard during a meeting with people, as long as it's not distractive, the clickety click 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 click,
Right.
then that's okay. But otherwise, the notes on the phone, I have a CRM system on my phone through Zoho, custom made for mortgage brokers, that when I make a phone call to someone now and they're in my contacts for my CRM for business, it automatically prompts me now to put in quick notes of what the call was about
Oh, that's
immediately
awesome.
after the call. It is unbelievable. It's a game changer.
That's
So
great.
now
That's a great tool.
it is. It really is. It's a great tool. It's important to keep a history and a thread of your conversations that you've had with people. We tend to rely on our minds too much and our memories, and you can't always do that.
What's the biggest misconception you see in your circle around ADHD?
It's a stigma. Not as much anymore as it was, but it's still a stigma.
Right.
People used to be embarrassed about it. They would think that they have a disease. Oh no, he's got ADD. You're
Right.
talking about he's got ADD. He's going to be one of the most successful people in the world.
Right.
Those are all the leaders. All the big people all have ADD. The successful ones surround themselves with people to make sure they are successful. The disasters are the ones who just don't pay attention to it. So knowing that it's not a disease in the negative, but it's in the positive, and embracing it, that would be the greatest educational tool. And once again, in the school system, there's still a huge amount of learning. The learning curve is like there's still so much to teach the teachers in Rebbeim about how to teach to these students. A lot of them just don't get it still.
Right. Thankfully, I've met a lot of teachers or band principals who are very receptive, but we need to keep putting information out there.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you ever hear people say, I'll put this in air quotes,
Sure.
ADHD is not real? How do you react
Oh, gonna
internally
smack
and
them,
externally? Okay, I go
smack
for
them
it.
so hard.
Tell me more.
To the moon, Alice. To the moon.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's like you have no idea. I go
Right,
back to the
right,
same story. I go, the Kenish, I have no legs. I can't cross the street.
right.
Right? Like, or a guy who needs insulin, to control his sugar levels. Well, try differently. I can't. I have no insulin in my body. How am I supposed to control my sugar levels? It's I'm missing two important chemicals in my brain that allow me to function like everybody else. How do you expect me? It's a real thing. It's not fake. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Education is key. That's what I'm
Educate.
hearing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, what's a particular success story that comes to mind for you, if one comes to mind for you? And what's a message of hope you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I'm gonna share one thing. Well, let's back up for a second, if I may.
Sure.
Um, this is something which it's very hard to control it, but in the shadchan business,
Okay.
you try to avoid setting up couples that are both ADD,
Okay, that's interesting.
if that's all possible.
Tell me more. Why?
Because I found that the train wrecks of most of the real train wreck homes that are not fixable
Right.
are when the husband and wife both have ADD and they're very dysfunctional.
Right. So a lot of the things that are necessary to run a home functionally, you need
Both
somebody to take charge. You don't need both, but
both
you need
can't do it.
somebody. Right.
Right. Now if there's wealth in the family, then life is much different. It's much easier because then there's money, so there's cleaning ladies, and then there's this, and there's extra help, and the shver helps out, and then the guy, if he's ADD, that's okay because he's going to get into a business and he'll be matzliach there, and everything will be happy. If there's money, then makes life totally different.
Right.
But if there isn't, and they're both working, and there's no executive function factor there, and then if they both have it, then that means the kids are most likely going to have it.
Right.
Or there's a very high chance of it. So, and if they're not making changes, growing personally to create the modalities of a healthy home environment, understanding what they have, then you're just off to the races of not it's not good stuff. And I wouldn't say that everyone has to do a Meyer Briggs test, but there's a great book called Please Understand Me by Kiersey and Bates, Character Temperament Types,
Right. I read the
and
second one. Yeah, it's very good.
okay,
It's very
it's
good.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So what that does is basically, I wouldn't say, people laugh and say, well, before you set people up, let them take the Meyer Briggs test and see if they're compatible there.
Right.
Because from the Meyer Briggs test, you could tell if a person's ADD or not very often from the results of the character
Oh,
types.
interesting. Where do you see that?
Yeah. So if you look at it, I haven't looked at
Right.
this in a while. I'm a little rusty on it. Yes, FP for sure, ISFP, maybe STP. There's others, but if the Shadchan studies it a little more, it's a no-brainer. Don't set them up. They don't belong together. It's not going to work.
Have you ever been able to help them in a situation like that?
It's very
Wow,
hard.
it's been too. It's
It's
been too
really
hard.
hard. It's
Wow.
really hard. You just all I do is give chizuk. I
Right.
can just give chizuk and then say, you can do it. Keep trying. Well, let's keep davening. Tefillas will help. Tefillas will help. And just you got to change. You're not going to change your spouse. You're not going to change your kids. Just change yourself, and you'll see it'll influence all the people around you. And it does. It does.
It
It
does mean
does.
just seeing the growth.
You see growth, yeah. But it's harder. It's much harder, and it takes much longer.
What's a message of hope you'd like to leave our listeners with?
The message I would leave is that learn more about this. Order Dr. Kutzer's book, Living Without Breaks. Everybody should order it,
It's
even
my
if they
favorite
don't
too.
have
Yeah.
ADD. Everybody should order it, read it, understand it, and then begin when you see that people are acting funny. Lamashal, if someone's in shul and he just can't stop talking, some guys just get all upset. Like, what's going on? Like, why can't you just shut your mouth and stop talking? Understand, have some compassion, understand maybe they have a severe case of ADD, ADHD, and they just can't. They have to keep talking to stimulate the frontal lobes in order to keep themselves engaged in anything. And they just don't have that control to stop. And you're not going to teach them by getting all upset and shushing them and throwing them out of shul to stop talking because they can't. They physically just can't. And just daven for them that one day they'll realize what it is that's going on, and maybe they'll be able to help themselves, and then Shalom Al Yisrael. So that's a message when anyone you meet in business and from family, from others, pause for a minute and just don't diagnose, but have rachamim and understand the reason they're behaving the way they are is probably because of something else going on. And those that are exhibiting behaviors of ADHD, um, and whether it's hyper or not hyper, because there's all different bands within the spectrum. Um, Very often they're learning in life. They're progressing, and I encourage everybody, no matter how old you are. The guy who told me in his 50s he's too old to change, that's a lie. It's not true. Everybody can change, no matter how old you are. I I have a I my chairman. He was 70 years old when he got a computer for the first time.
That's great.
70 years old. He had been working for 50 years, and he got a computer and he started learning how to use it. And he's now 85 years old, and he's still on
Still
computers.
working.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. He's not working anymore. He retired, but he's still using a computer.
Still working on a computer, right?
Working on a computer. Yeah, yeah. Every 40 years, every 4 generations, the world changes completely. And the people that are 60, 70 can't understand what the 20 and 30-year-olds are doing. But the world belongs to them now. It doesn't belong to the 60, 70-year-olds anymore. It belongs to the 20, 30-year-olds. We're here to, I'm not 60 yet, but we're here, the older people are there to help guide and steer them responsibly and allow them to see the world from a different facet than the way we see it. We're not capable of doing that anymore. Um, Rav Carmel,
Yeah.
he has a book called Faces and Facets,
Oh, I don't think I know this
and
one.
I forgot the name of the chapter, but there's a chapter in there which he discusses this whole concept of being able to not understand the previous generation, like Chonei Magel, perfect example. He woke up and he was like, God, I'd rather die than stay alive at this point because I can't understand what was going on. So Carmel explains the whole concept of this is that the world changes every 40 years. It's a whole new world. And you have to be able to understand, either stay with it, keep up to date, really in trend with it, or respect that you're not going to understand that next generation. It's a fascinating thought. It was a paradigm
Yeah.
shift in my life. When I read this 2 years ago, it was a complete paradigm shift.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely get that. I mean, in our day and age, all the more so. I think today the world is changing much more rapidly
Yeah.
than it
Are you
used to. I
familiar
mean,
with Plaid? PLAID?
no, unless you mean
Okay.
you know
So
if it's
Plaid
pattern.
Plaid
What?
is an application that every finance company come out uses to debit to connect their application with your bank account.
Okay.
So if you're doing something and you're using an application that requires interaction with your bank account, it's the Plaid app, which is the safe way of connecting in.
Right.
People in their 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they're afraid of it. They won't touch it.
Oh, interesting. It makes sense. Makes sense. They're not used to
Yeah,
it.
like they don't. So what, I'm not, or they won't put a credit card on their smartphone.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't trust it. Okay, don't trust it. But this is the new world. Either get with it or you can get old.
Right. Yeah, bringing it back to that, I've had people, call for coaching who are not 20 and not 30, and really give them credit, like you're saying,
Yeah,
because it's definitely not too late. They can learn and grow a lot.
it's never too late. It's never too late. I think that's a good compliment to the generation. People are willing to take on coaches and get advice from people. I think the Rabbanim should create a database for themselves of resources of people that are experts in certain areas to help their balabatim grow personally. I think that there's a big void in in our klal to reflect and want to have more personal growth. People are just going through the motions every day of life and not pausing to have personal growth until an event occurs that they're forced to do it. And that would be a tremendous benefit to society as a whole, if the Rabbanim were to create their own little database of people like yourself, or and other types of reading, and or bringing people into the show as scholars and residences that can impart good values and good tools and skill sets for people to have personal growth, and maybe spark people to consider change, because if you're not growing, you're going backwards.
Yeah, I think that is beginning to happen. We'll say. I mean, there's a lot of interaction between rabbanim and mental health professionals, as you know,
Right, right.
and I think as networking works, in our community, people know people, and they know someone who's, if not an expert themselves, they know someone who knows someone who's an expert. And I don't know if everybody is on board with it just yet, but I think a lot of progress is being made. Have you found that?
In particular, some communities yes, some communities
Right.
no. I'm not. I don't know enough to comment on that to say. I excuse me. I do see in certain communities when they send out flyers and brochures that they're proactively bringing in scholars and residents. Um, but
Right. The proactive piece of it, I think, is less common, but I think I think, like you're saying, I think it's gaining traction.
well, I hope. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but there's a lot of work to be done, and I hope Klal Yisrael, that would be my message to people. Figure out a way to find personal growth.
Okay, excellent. Anything else you want to say today?
No, I think this was great. Thank you for the opportunity. Shmuel, it was nice to speak and schmooze, and
Thank you, David. It's
well,
always great.
we could talk for hours, but I don't think the listeners are going to listen to everything.
I could even on double speed, right?
Right. Unless we talk quickly, then we can keep going.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. It's been really fantastic.
Pleasure. Thank you for everything you're doing for the Klal and creating these podcasts and giving people opportunities for growing.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the ADHD Heroes podcast. For questions about the podcast, you can email us at adhdheroespodcast@gmail.com. Also, for sponsorships or to share your story, your ADHD story, you can also email us at the same place, adhdheroespodcast@gmail.com. To be in touch with me about ADHD coaching, writing, or speaking engagements, you can email me at rsreichadhdcoach@gmail.com. Be sure to check out my website, rsreich.com, adhdcoach.com. You can follow me on LinkedIn, or you can check out my blog on nefesh.org. Check out my blog there under my name. Important disclaimer: podcasts are great, but they do not take the place of mental health help or medical help. So if you need help with mental health or need a doctor, be sure to be in contact with some of them. Please, if you like this show, please rate, review, and share with a friend. That's how these things get out there. Thank you again for listening, and thank you to our producers at Pretty Easy Podcasts.